Good morning, everyone. We will do presentation about our article. It's about the impact of the food crisis and climate change on the life of local community. Your team is Fitriani, Hesi Tambayong, Rastali Katondesi, and friends in Tonto. The food crisis and climate change have a very significant impact of the life of the local people and can extend to various aspects of the life. Food crisis occur when the adequate supply of food cannot be met, usually due to factors such as agriculture, production instability, conflict, high price, or other factors. Climate change is caused by human activity that trigger an increase in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, causing the Earth affects temperature to increase. These two issues are often interrelated. Food prices can be exacerbated by climate change affecting agricultural productivity, while climate change can also exacerbate food stability by creating unpredictable weather conditions. The agriculture sector is the most affected by climate change, especially crops. Uh, Climate change has caused a decrease in productivity and production of food crops due to increased air temperature, flood, drought due to reduced rainfall, intensity of pest and disease attack, and decreased quality of agricultural products. From Putra and Indra Dewa 2011 extended, increase in air temperature in the atmosphere will be followed by decrease in corn and soybean production and reduced yield of rice and legume crops will potentially increase in decline in national production. There has been a decline in food production, so that is become a problem for local people who depend on their livelihood as farmers. Besides that, it will have a big impact on Indonesian society as a whole. Material need. The study used a qualitative approach by collecting data through in-depth interview, participatory observation, and document analysis. The research location involves several communities in area exposed to food prices and climate change differently. The qualitative approach was chosen because it allowed researchers to explore and understand the impact of the food crisis and climate change on the local community. The collected qualitative data will be analyzed using an interactive analysis approach. This will help the understanding the impact of the food crisis and climate change on local community by using a qualitative approach. This research is expected to provide in-depth insight into the impact of the food crisis and climate change on local community and how they adapt to this increasingly complex condition. Research and discussion. The impact of the food crisis on local community include first is public health. Malnutrition and malnutrition have become serious problem due to the food crisis. Local people are vulnerable to disease and health problems due to lack of proper nutrition. Second is economy. A food crisis can cause spike in food prices and resulting in economic hardship for people who depend on agriculture or the food sector. This can trigger poverty and unemployment. The third is food security. Uncertainty in food supply can reduce people food security, which means they do not have stable and reliable access to sufficient food sources. And last is education. Food crisis can force children to work or help find food, disrupting their access to education and hindering the delivered development of their potential. Another impact of the climate change on local community include first is agriculture and forestry. Change in rainfall patterns and extreme temperature can disrupt agriculture production and threaten forest sustainability. Violent harvest can result in scarcity of food and raw materials. Second is natural disaster. The increasing frequency and intensity of natural disasters such as flood, drought, storm, and landslide can damage infrastructure, destroy homes, and force people to flee. Third is public health. Increasing temperature and change ecosystem can affect the spread of vector diseases such as malaria and dengue fever. Local people may experience a higher rates of this disease. The last is resilience of water resources. Climate change can affect the water cycle, resulting in drought and or flood. Local communities that depend on natural water resources may face difficulty in meeting their needs for clean water. The dwindling of food availability causes food crisis and will affect the will of the Indonesian economy. The food crisis causes scarcity which will result in price continuing to soar. Prices that continue to soar will trigger conflict and affect the will of the politics. The impact will cause high level of hunger. In 2020, Indonesian population will experience the third higher hunger in the ASEAN region. Apart from hunger, another impact of Indonesian food crisis is its dependence of imports. Currently, Indonesia is importing rice with a total 1.40 million tons of rice per year. Apart from rice, is also important 5.53 million tons of sugar and 2.26 million tons of soybeans. If this is not immediately anticipated by the government, it is not impossible that Indonesia will experience the same thing that has happened to other countries that are experiencing a food crisis. Meanwhile, Indonesia is predicted to experience a crisis considering the population which will become 270 million people by 2012, that saying that even the occur in Indonesia regarding the scarcity of soybean in early 2021, as well as import of rice and sugar, as well as another food commodity. Strategy can be carried out of the overcome and impact of climate change and anomaly, especially in the management of agricultural resources, are to apply short, medium, and long-term strategy. And short-term strategy is about how about we can what we can do for the land, for the impact of the climate change anomaly. And the medium term is a strategy is about to continue monitoring, repair, uh, to repair the for the short-term strategy before. And the long-term strategy is planning to development of the agriculture sector in more integrated, systematic, and comprehensive manner of the consideration various aspects related to the performance of the agriculture sector, especially to agroclimatology aspect. What must be considered is first the form of the production diversification that can be developed to support food security. For the second is local agricultural wisdom, and the last is government policy. Conclusion. First is traditional cropping patterns are no longer suited to unstable weather, and pests attack and drought often damage crop yields. This has resulted in reduced income and greater dependence on government aid or humanitarian organizations. Second is the study also identified several adaptation efforts made by local communities to deal with the food crisis and climate change. Some communities have changed cropping patterns and cultivated plant varieties that are more resistant to climate change. The community is also actively developing local resources such as fish spawn and food processing to reduce dependence of imported food. In facing these challenges, intercommunity cooperation and support from the government and international institutions are key in increasing food security and climate change adaptation. Increasing access to sustainable agriculture technology and financial assistance for local community can strengthen competitive and reduce inequality in dealing with the impact of the food crisis and climate change. And the last is the research highlight the importance of in-depth understanding of the impact of the food crisis and climate change on local community and adaptation efforts that can be made for to strengthen their resilience. The increasing complexity of this challenge demands collective action from all parties involved to achieve sustainability and prosperity for local community in the era of the globalization and climate change.